So I'm selling my house and I'm going back to renting.
I know I'm gonna get a lot of crap for saying this, but as a first time homeowner that is almost done paying off our home in California, I'm gonna be real with you guys, homeownership is a little bit of a scam.
I just wanted to talk about homeowner regret. Now that I'm in the market, I don't think I made a great choice.
Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at some people who regret buying their homes. This is something people love to argue about online, the whole rent versus buying situation. And before we get into this, I want to say that I would like to buy a home one day, even though I'm renting currently. So this video isn't just trying to get everybody to rent forever. But no matter what side you're on, I see videos uploaded every day of someone saying they regret buying their house. We have a ton of stuff to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's just jump right into it.
So I'm selling my house and I'm going back to renting. I am here to just share some things that I didn't know as a first-time home buyer. I'm sure that there are other people out there who did not have home buying 101 when they were a kid. If you are considering buying your first home or you're in the process of buying your first home, I just wanted to share some things that I learned in the process and being a homeowner for the last 5 years. First, yes, there are hidden fees and hidden costs, repair, emergencies, but what they don't tell you is that taxes may increase the cost of your mortgage. They say, "Oh, your mortgage rate will never change," because I have the bank statements to prove that my mortgage rate at the day that I signed for my place to now has changed. If you're dealing with an HOA, don't. I'm not very handy when it comes to just being able to repair things around the house. So I resort to Professor Google and YouTube University to figure things out. A lot of times I just don't feel like I have the time or the mental capacity to learn how to fix and repair every little thing. Anytime something happens, that's on me. Like I want to just be able to call maintenance and be like, "Hey, whatever, my washer machine is leaking."
And you just don't have that luxury when you're the owner. Another term that I hear a lot, renting is the maximum you'll pay while your mortgage is your minimum. And whether you decide to hire somebody to fix whatever's wrong or do it yourself, like she said, looking up stuff on Google or YouTube, it's still costly and takes a lot of time. This is all while you're working full-time or even longer hours just to pay the bills. I asked you guys in an older video, do you know someone who regrets buying their home? Sometimes I regret buying mine. Got it for a great price and a great rate, but there was so much maintenance. Something that I had no idea about is that your insurance company can force you to replace your roof or they'll drop you. I had a perfectly good roof with 0 leaks, but it aged out and I had to drop $10,000 within 5 months of getting a letter from them. Given that I've been stuck with a perpetual leak that at this point requires a total bathroom remodel, I regret buying my house. Me, after I found out my neighbor was a dealer, thankfully she got evicted after about 6 months, but that was a rough 6 months. Do your due diligence when buying. I'm not just talking about home inspections and appraisals. Yes, me, now I rent, I've never been happier, and we got it in 2019. Regretted it for 2 to 3 years while we fixed a lot of junk from the previous owner. Pretty happy with it today, but still wish we had looked at some other options, as we are locked into this low rate now. But we're also going to hear that a lot throughout this video, the difference between buying pre and post COVID. It is basically two completely different worlds at this point. If you bought back in 2015, even 2019, you're probably in a pretty good position. But anything from around 2022 to 2026, it's almost guaranteed that you've overpaid with a pretty bad rate.
I think most people don't actually want to own a home. They just want to own a home. And I think that leads to a lot of situations like this. And I'm not talking about the current housing unaffordability crisis. I'm talking about the cultural conversation around home ownership. And I think the main reason why people end up regretting buying a home is like not even just the unforeseen costs. It's because they never once like explored if they actually wanted to buy a home. They just kind of absorbed this idea that home ownership is like a good thing or what like an adult does or like what they should do. And social comparison is a dangerous drug when it comes to our money, especially when it comes to these giant purchases. Like this is going to be probably one of the biggest purchases someone could make. And so much of this decision is so emotional, so socially driven, so influenced by all these external factors, even if we don't realize it. Like in America, we grew up with a very, very specific cultural script about like home ownership or money milestones, right? Like get the degree, get the job, buy the house, start the family, retire. And these milestones are very much presented as a sequence that everybody should be following and a sign of if you are successful or not.
So you got a ton of people jumping in head first trying to live the American dream, and now they've come to realize that they regret that decision. We could take a look at a perfect example here.
My husband and I are selling our house, and honestly, I feel so good about that. I cannot wait. After settling into Georgia, my husband and I got married, we're having kids, and I just felt like, okay, everything's coming in together, everything's coming into place, and now we're buying our house, which was relatively like an easy thing to do. We had a great realtor, so this is nothing against the realtor or anything, but I just thought like, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be buying our house and this, that, and the third. And then when we bought our house, I was very happy. I was happy. I couldn't wait to decorate, this, that, and the third, yada, yada. It's been 2 years and I'm over it already. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm over it already. Get a 5-bedroom because at the time we thought we needed the extra space. But 2 years later, we have not used any of the space. So the house is too big, in my opinion. It's a lot to clean, which I already knew upon, closing on the house. But again, I was just ecstatic. I was like, okay, first time home buyer, whatever, we're owning a home, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking like, this is not what I want.
Going straight over to the comment section, I'm happy with my $1,275 mortgage, purchased before COVID. There you go. No HOA house in a good area. I can't imagine paying over $3,000 for rent, and the creator responds $3,000 for rent, who and where? Now this could be the case if you're in a high cost of living area, maybe near a city, but a $1,275 mortgage in today's world is basically unheard of. Now seeing that $3,000 price tag on the mortgage is pretty common, and because of this, more and more people are just calling it quits.
I am closing on my house today. I'm selling my house and going back to an apartment. Guys, I've been in my apartment for like a week, and this is truly the best decision I've ever made. Like the maintenance, the yard work, the property taxes, like everything. I'm just so excited to be back in an apartment. If you want to sell your house, you should do it because I feel like a weight is being lifted off of me, not having to worry about a home.
Adding the upkeep of a house along with all the other issues people are dealing with, the high cost of living climate we're in, car payments, grocery prices. And again, I know these videos make it seem like I'm trying to say everybody should just rent forever. It's way easier. I've been on and off looking for houses for quite a while now, and everything's still just wildly overpriced. And that's before having to save even more money for all of the other hidden costs.
The first time Sam and I bought a house, I was shook by really the cost, because I was like, we've got our down payment, that's it, that's all we need. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's the down payment. And when we had to put the offer in, they were like, what's your earnest money that you're going to put down? And I was like, earnest money? What's that? And then they were like, then there's closing costs. And some of those you have to pay out of pocket. I'm like, closing costs? And then there was the inspection and the appraisal. And there were all these things that I was like, I just didn't know. And luckily we had extra money set aside. But I always like to tell people, hey, be prepared. I always say when you go to buy a house, come in with a stacked deck. And I say down payment for D, earnest money for E, closing costs for C, and then the K, I say consider other things.
But one of the problems I'm still seeing is that people are getting approved for more money than they should for a house. And that's a very slippery slope to becoming house poor.
Do you want to be house poor? Do you want to be stressed every time the mortgage comes out? Do you want to buy furniture on credit because all your cash went into the house? Do you want to move in and immediately feel like you have no room to breathe? Or do you want a house that fits into your broader financial plan? That is the conversation, and that is why I do not like when buyers ask, how much can I get approved for? The better question is, what payment allows me to buy a house and still live my life?
Now, the argument on the other side of the coin that does make a good point is that everything is wildly overpriced now, so of course my loan amount is larger. We're around an average price of around $400,000 to $430,000 for a house, with 6 to 7% mortgage rates. It's a lot easier said than done to just buy a cheaper house now, because maybe you do find something that's much cheaper that's a fixer-upper. That could also be a huge pain down the road. We'll see some videos later about it. But when people actually calculate how much money's going towards the principal when we're talking about mortgages, it starts looking pretty ridiculous.
You know how some people say if you rent, you're just throwing money away, you should own if you can, but owning a house is also very expensive, and I don't want this video to discourage you from buying a house or encourage you to buy houses for educational purposes only, but I want to show you my wife and I's loan. $359,000 we owe, at a 5.75% interest rate. We have a 30-year fixed loan and we've been paying on it for 3.5 years. But just look at how expensive this is and how little is going towards the principal, especially at first. So our monthly payment is $2,825. But our interest is $1,720. Our property taxes and homeowners insurance is about $600 a month, but only $480 a month is going towards paying down that $359 because our loan amount is so high right now, so the interest is kicking our ass. So we're gonna send in $2,825 for 12 months, and it's gonna be basically $34,000 that we're gonna send in for our house. And this doesn't include utilities, this doesn't include maintenance, this doesn't include our security system, this doesn't include our $97 HOA. So probably more like $35,000 to $36,000 we're gonna send in this year. However, only $5,800 is gonna go towards paying down the principal.
And let's say you understand all that and you could stomach it. We go 30 years into the future and you've completely paid off your house. It still doesn't mean you actually own your home at the end of the day.
I know I'm gonna get a lot of crap for saying this, but as a first-time homeowner that is almost done paying off our home in California, I'm gonna be real with you guys, homeownership is a little bit of a scam. I have always dreamt of becoming a homeowner, right? I grew up very, very poor and I worked really, really hard to be able to now achieve the life that I have now, where I have a home that I love, and there's a lot to it. Even when I'm done paying off my home, why in the heck am I still gonna have to pay property taxes? Like, you never fully own your home, because how are you gonna tell me that even after I pay off this mortgage, I'm still gonna be paying 4 or 5K a year on property taxes? And mind you, they can go up every year by like 1% or something like that.
Along with living in a state like California that already has pretty brutal taxes. You pay for your house, you don't own the land. The land is always the government's in charge.
So nobody told me about the $10,000 I would spend after closing on my house. I just closed on my first house 3 weeks ago and I've already spent 10 grand, and that's not including closing costs or down payment. I'm talking blinds for all the windows, tools because I have to fix things now. And also the seller took our washer and dryer. Surprise, I didn't know that. And so we had to, well, it was their washer and dryer, I guess. So we had to get some. A plumber visit, a lawnmower, snow shovel, like literally just random stuff. I read a Reddit thread where they talked about how first-time homebuyers just forget extra costs, like closing costs, inspections, like immediate repairs, stuff like that. So I'm officially that person.
So I mean, I gotta say, there has to be more research done when you're going to purchase the most expensive thing you're gonna buy in your life. But another aspect that people truly don't realize is the amount of time sunk in for the upkeep of the house.
I used to wonder so much why my parents were so boring and had no life. I felt like they had no friends. I felt like they had no anything outside of our family. They never had plans on the weekends. And I was like, oh, I'll never be like that when I get older. Now I'm older. And I'm telling you right now, it's this damn house. I have to do something with this house now that I bought a house every weekend.
And I'll see a lot of people arguing in the comment sections because you bought an old house, of course things are gonna break. Or you bought a brand new house, the quality's terrible. And I gotta say, both sides are right. We could take a look at a couple clips.
Here's everything that's gone wrong in 24 hours of owning a house. Water heater isn't working.
Garage door won't open. Wi-Fi won't connect.
And my furniture won't be here for 6 weeks. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's almost been 2 years exactly since I purchased this house. I've done a lot of work with it, but to be honest, when I purchased this house a while ago, I did not anticipate it to cost this much money. I had about 8 grand saved up for renovations, and let me tell you, it is way more than that what I thought. Everything that I thought would last me a couple years to save up or wouldn't break right away, such as the water heater and AC, broke right away, and I regret it painfully. Now that I'm stuck here, I need the AC fixed too, and that's going to be around $8,000 to $10,000, which is insanely insane considering that my house is only 1,000 square feet.
And going over to the comments, $180,000 is amazing for any house nowadays. But the creator replies, it's a townhouse. And from what the kitchen looks like, it does seem to be a bit older, but we got another comment here saying it an investment. Then there's just people going back and forth saying it's not, it is, it's not, it is. And then someone saying primary residence is not an investment, and this video highlights exactly why. I would like to add it being a townhouse is probably not the best either, especially if you're comparing it to a single family home, but trying to look for investment investments or flips in any real estate property in 2026 is very hard to come by. And going back over to the first clip, LOL, is that a new build? And the creator replies, yes. If you've watched my new construction build series on this channel, you know they are a nightmare. The quality's just not there. Things are breaking left and right basically right away. So maybe you decide to buy an older house that's possibly a fixer-upper. We got a clip up on screen saying buy a fixer-upper, they say. And going over to the description, when you have a termite inspection done and they say the house has good bones and no signs of termites, while the house is virtually falling apart. Everyone's saying, why don't you own a house anymore? With the entire lawn being dug up probably because of a pipe problem. Home ownership can be great, but wasn't for me. If you've been following, I sold my house 1 year ago and rent. After several expensive house projects, this issue makes me grateful I'm renting. I've been in my house for 2.5 years, $100,000, 100,000 in repairs. Home ownership is overrated. Everyone says it's a great investment. Really? Because my $350,000 house is going to cost $500,000 with interest. That's actually kind of low compared to other loans. Not to mention the $40,000 I've put in it for standard repairs, roof, AC, plumbing, which will likely have to be done another 1 to 2 times over my 30-year mortgage. When you thought buying your first home was going to be an exciting experience, and then it goes over to the house being flooded, it's been a nightmare. Did you get this inspected? This is wild. The creator responds, yes, I did. Realtor got someone to add French drain in the backyard and gutters after the inspection to prevent any issues. We had no idea it gets like this. Makes sense why the previous owners added new flooring to cover up the swelled up flooring after it happened to them. The examples just go on and on. We were second-time home buyers that still got F right when we first became parents as well. It's because we were in a hurry, let our guards down, and trusted an inspector too much. And they start showing that mold was basically all over their house and it was falling apart. Again, the inspector didn't catch or notice anything. The creator responds, not a thing. We got another comment from you guys. I have a friend who bought a townhouse in an award-winning development, which I didn't even know was a thing. His townhouse is 16 years old. He and his neighbors just found out that the builder was wildly incompetent and there were severe moisture problems. They have mold in the walls growing on the floor to the ceiling and mushrooms growing inside the walls. At one point they discussed tearing the complex down to the foundation because insurance didn't cover it. We could go over to the next clip with another example of something that everybody seems to want to have when they buy a house until they have to deal with the maintenance and upkeep.
Every summer we regret buying a house with a pool, and I'm going to show you exactly why. We had to bring in reinforcements because this is a 4-person job. We live in Michigan, so we get a lot of snow, and our neighbor has this huge tree, so we get a lot of debris on our covers. So
alright, I'm cutting it there, but you've probably seen this before with anybody who owns a pool. It of course gets pretty dirty during the off season, along with possible rips and tears. I mean, they live in Michigan, maybe the pool freezes, and at least in my opinion, if you live in the north or northeastern area, you're only going to have a couple months max where you could use the pool. I just don't see it being worth it in the long run.
When you thought you saw about absolutely everything in a flip, take a look at this. Nice countertops, brand new sink. Let's head under. The sink is held up by closet shelf brackets, drywall screwed into the side of the cabinets. That is awesome.
So this is a new tactic I haven't seen before. Instead of fixing the porch, they just put this fencing in front of it. But as you can see, it's all falling apart. You see it? There's a missing brick right there. This whole area is crumbling back here. Flipper's always keeping me on my toes.
We could just go straight over to another comment from you guys. As a tradesman, I've seen so many flipped houses that were literally just lipstick on a pig. Everyone thinks they could flip houses now. And when it was very profitable during the beginning of COVID, so many current homeowners got trapped. But even though we've seen some examples of inspectors not doing their jobs in this video, I think it's incredibly important to be very thorough and find an inspector that will go through absolutely everything in the house. It could save you from buying a property that will be a nightmare.
Sometimes when I pull up to a home, I always look at the street to see kind of how it's cracking, it's moving. Sometimes that carries to the driveway, as you can see here. So I know when I show a home, get the lockbox key, open the front door, I've got to look at the garage when I see this. So sure as when I open the garage, there it is. So this crack is offset, meaning it's split and raised, and it's the size that a quarter could fit into. So you can see it stops right at the foundation. So technically speaking, the foundation isn't cracked, but let me show you the recourse that it can do inside the house. All right, first and foremost, that's where that crack would be coming in. So you can see it's caused a little issue there. My biggest issues occur up. So I start to see cracking at the windows, along the chimney, major crack at the corner there because the pressure is this way, and I'll show you why. But this is the crack that's consistent, parallel to what my problem is. Garage is there, parallel. That problem is right here. Everyone wants the canyon view, no backyard neighbor. But over time, with rains, years, winds, erosion, it starts to go down. And you have to retain that with rafters, little railroad ties, right? That help the property stay this way or it falls this way.
So how is this legal or ethical to have on the market? They're hoping that they get buyers that don't realize how big of a problem this is. My house is effed with all the cracks in my driveway. The house is toast, yet it's on Zillow for $568,000. And like usual on this channel, most of the clips are from the US, but this doesn't mean that this problem isn't happening all over the world.
I just wanted to talk about homeowner regret. Now that I'm in the market, I don't think I made a great choice. And now I'm stuck for at least probably 5 years here. Otherwise, I'll be losing money. Like, I thought this apartment was like a turnkey apartment. It's not a turnkey apartment. My dishwasher went. Like, I don't have a cooktop. Just got a plug-in hot plate. I've got to replace the oven because there's no numbers on there and it's sort of stuck. And I have to turn it on and off at the wall. It's like the courtyard's drainage is not working. Like, it looks like there's moisture under there. Even like painting and things, like I actually want to paint the place. You can see I've got these test batches which I did, and then I've had to sort of abandon it with everything, including rates and water and everything. It costs about 50% of my wage, but anything over 30% means you're in mortgage stress. But I do think 50% is pretty normal for Australians these days with the cost of housing.
And I think 50% in the US is also pretty common now, maybe even more. And even though we saw a couple of examples in this video of people selling their homes and going back to renting, not everybody's able to do so. There's an increasing amount of people who are underwater when it comes to their house.
All right, I am just reading an article right now that's talking about more than 1 million homeowners are underwater on their mortgages, which is a 7-year high, and explaining that this is a jump that's up from 60% compared to the start and end of 2025. I want to explain just from a mortgage broker's perspective and my thoughts on this and my recommendations to those of you who are wanting to buy this year and who want to avoid this from happening. So what this means essentially is like people in this scenario would have to take a financial hit if they sold their house, meaning they owe more money on their home than what they would actually make as a profit if they sold their house. Now, this is another piece here. So in addition to the 1.1 million people who are technically underwater in this scenario, an additional 3.2 million borrowers, or 7.9% of the overall population, have less than 10% equity in their home.
First-time home buyer here, bought my home January of 2025, and then got an escrow shortage letter in January of 2026, increasing my monthly mortgage from $2,600 to $3,600 per year due to the increased property tax and insurance. Sadly, I may have to put up my dream home for sale and look for a townhome or condo, while also taking a pretty heavy loss on the price most likely. Bought in St. Cloud, Florida, paid $448,000 in 2022. It's now valued at $372,000 in 2026. And we'll finish off this video with a comment from you guys. If you got in at 2.5% around COVID, you're most likely happy. If you have around a 7% or more, you're probably broke. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you bought just a few years ago, your sentiment on home buyers are probably very different than someone who bought in 2015. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.